This is a podcast from the Daily Grind, India's first audio newspaper. Hello and welcome to the Daily Grind, everybody. Today is Thursday, the 24th of November, and I'm Ankit Prasad. We've been away for a few days, partially because of the eventual and inescapable burnout from some of the really big stories from the last month. We are going to address them today, though, along with some other important things. The first of the big topics that we're talking about is demonetization, which it's probably fair to say by now is more appropriately referred to as re-monetization. It's been 16 days, which is a round number in the digital verse, and so we're in a better place to evaluate how things are going. And also there's a good likelihood that we'll be getting an official update on the status in the coming few days, because today, that is the 24th, was always intended as some sort of first checkpoint. Such as, for instance, we could expect a revision of the various terms for withdrawal and exchange of new and old currency. Of course, the government has been tweaking the norms frequently as it's come to grips with the enormity of the operation. Such as the ATM withdrawal limit is 2,500 rupees per day and the exchange limit is 2,000 rupees per day now, while there is also a larger withdrawal facility for marriage purposes, though it does come with some strict riders. There's been a flexibility in the decision making as per requirement, and each day we hear newer figures that give us an indication as to how things are going. As per the latest news, something like a third of the ATMs in the country are now equipped to handle the new notes, and as they're full of the high-value 2,000 rupee notes, there's more cash in the shelves. In excess of 50 lakh rupees per ATM, which at least ensures that the cash doesn't run out while people are still waiting in the lines. Also, it appears that close to $100 billion in old currency has been returned to the banks. That's close to 40% of the value of the old notes estimated to be out there, and as a result, a lot of bank accounts, especially Jan Dhan accounts, are showing a balance for the first time. Before we get to some of the more debatable aspects of the ongoing process, it's important to commend the effort being put in by the banks and all those who are a part of the solution, because without their efforts, India could easily been facing anarchy at this point. So a big thanks to them. But back to the question, why isn't India facing anarchy? All reasonable indicators suggest that we should be severely hamstrung, with people unable to purchase the most basic goods and services. Are people being able to buy food? Are farmers able to buy seeds and fertilizers? What about truckers? Are they getting paid for their back-breaking hauls? What about macroeconomic indicators? All the big agencies are predicting a sizable drop in GDP growth in the short run as the economy reboots. And what about money laundering? Is it going on? What are the means and who are the people doing it? And how much commission is being charged? And if we consider that the remonetization proceeds successfully to completion, then what has the government planned to ensure that it's not all for nothing? For instance, what is the future of corruption and leakages? What happens to black money abroad, and what happens to Benami properties, that is black real estate dealings? As far as the politics and optics of the matter are concerned, it's very clear by now that the larger public, though inconvenienced, is with the move, because in theory and intent it does clearly fight black money and does take the stick to those who have refused to play by the rules. You can tell that the public supports the move because none of the opposition political parties are against the endeavor itself, though they do have plenty of things to say. But the fact of the matter is that the PM must be cut some slack because the success of the plan required that it be implemented in complete secrecy, and that was done very well. Still, the winter session of Parliament has been going on, though when we say going on, we mean it loosely. It's been a washout so far because the opposition wants the PM to debate with them and answer their questions, but he doesn't want to, and so they're clearly annoyed. While that is a big deal, Modi will surely address the issue in Parliament at some point. But the more important question is what this does for the economy. Just a couple of months ago, the GST was the really big game changer that the country was gearing up for. That still has to be rolled out. The big problem that the economy was facing, however, was that the banks had a lot of non-performing assets, or NPAs, because of which there was a cash crunch that had choked the borrowing, investing, returning cycle. Now, however, because of all the money that the people have parked in bank accounts, there should be plenty available to lend and to restructure, and hence a rate cut must surely be incoming, which would spur private investment, which would be the final big piece in the economic puzzle. As far as black money stashed abroad is concerned, anyone who's suggesting that we should get it back should also suggest how, because if you've been following this closely, you'll know that our knowledge of who, where and how much is very incomplete, bordering on guesswork, and we also don't have the mechanisms to do anything about it. For example, what we do know comes to us from unofficial means such as information leaks. The Indian government recently entered into an agreement with Switzerland whereby we'll be receiving updates on Indian people's Swiss bank account activity starting 2019, and that too only for transactions from 2018. So the holders of those accounts have a year to figure out what to do with their money. And as far as Benami properties go, an all-out war like demonetization is yet to be launched. So there is still plenty to figure, but the reboot of the economy is in full swing. It'll take some time yet for us to establish whether it's had the desired or any other result, but there will be markers and we'll be on the lookout for them. Also expect word from the RBI and the Niti Aayog next month. Coming to squarely politics now, there's been a lot of chatter about different parties' aspirations for the coming year. There are big elections scheduled for the first half of 2017, and demonetization has definitely added an X factor. There were a number of by-polls in the last few days, but largely the status quo was maintained. Mamata Banerjee seems to want to lead a national-level movement against the BJP. Arvind Kejriwal wants to win Punjab most of all. The BJP wants to retain Gujarat, and everyone wants to win UP. In fact, in all of this, Nitish Kumar in Bihar seems to be the only one who's not got a dog in the fight. He's seemingly reaping the benefits of having a clear mandate and a dry state. However, while all those regionals can plot and plan, the only party that can feasibly challenge the BJP at a national level remains the Congress. It was former Prime Minister Indira Gandhi's 100th birth anniversary on the 19th of this month, that is her 99th birthday. And on the occasion, among other things, her daughter-in-law and current Congress President Sonia Gandhi, who is older now than Indira ever got to be, gave a rare interview to Rajdeep Sardesai. It was not very political because she wasn't there to discuss politics, but she did reveal a lot of interesting history that perhaps the youth of India should be aware of. For one, as per Sonia Gandhi, Indira's and the Congress's chief value was secularism. And as far as dynastic politics is concerned, what can they do? They're a political family. Also, one would do well to look up Indira Gandhi online, in particular on YouTube, to get a fair idea of what she was like and how it was that she was so influential to a whole generation, despite the current fashion of painting her as a totalitarian dictator. Another aspect is, once you've heard Indira and Sonia Gandhi talk, what becomes very apparent is how far Rahul Gandhi has fallen from the tree. He lacks their impudence and control. Of course, he should have his own style, but whatever it is, it's yet to impress anyone. Next, we'll come to the horrific train derailment in UP. At least 150 people have died since the Indore-Rajendranagar Express on its way from Indore to Patna derailed near Kanpur on the early hours of this last Sunday. A similar number of people are also injured. The PMO, as well as the chief ministers of the three states involved, as well as the railways, have announced ex gratia payments to the kin of the deceased. What is still unknown is what exactly caused the accident. Only terror has been ruled out as such. Damage to the track has been mooted, but not confirmed in any way. An investigating committee has been announced. The tragedy has led to a lot of questions being asked about the railways. They were an incredible parting gift to India by the British, the means by which we've been able to bring together this large and diverse country. However, for all kinds of reasons, some understandable, some plain infuriating, the railways have not been properly upgraded for decades. The plan to build a bullet train and to increase the speed of the current train sounds like even more window dressing. India's railway system needs a rethink and an incredible amount of reinvestment. We wish all those who have died rest in peace. Before we leave the country, the Indian army is very angry right now. 3 Indian soldiers were killed by Pakistan bordermen recently, and one of them was mutilated. This is the second time in the last month that we've seen this kind of barbaric behavior, which by the way doesn't even fly in times of war. Hence, there has been heavy firing across the LOC, and as per reports, there have been 9 casualties on the Pakistani side. Retribution will be heavy for this cowardly act, the Indian army had said in a statement, and it was serious. Pakistan has denied that the mutilation took place and has also said that India has been firing at passenger buses and ambulances. Because that's what we do, right? Gun down ambulances. However, there is some good news from the other side of the border as well. Every Pakistani chief of army staff faces a unique conundrum when he comes into the post, and that is whether he should stage a coup and take over the country. If not that, then whoever it is manages to at least extend their tenure one way or another. The same may have been expected from Pakistan's current army chief, General Rahul Sharif, especially since it's been clear from the Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif's erratic behavior and changing stances that he's not the guy in charge. Rahul Sharif's retirement is scheduled for the end of this month, and he's kicked off a farewell tour. So just like Frodo in The Lord of the Rings, it looks like he too has shown himself to be able to eventually resist the effects of power and now may cross over to the Grey Havens. We'll head over to the US now. Donald Trump has announced the plan for the first 100 days of his presidency, and by the sound of things, he intends to start with a bang. Over the last week or so, there have been a string of appointments to his transition team, while a number of people continue to be mentioned for various cabinet berths. A Steve Bannon, who used to run an alt-right news site called Breitbart, who has some very complicated and dark ideas, has got the pick for the chief strategist role. That appointment is scaring everyone to death. And meanwhile, Mitt Romney is reportedly being considered for Secretary of State. Romney went AWOL after losing to Obama in 2012, but reappeared earlier this year to voice his opposition to Trump, who had taken over the Republican Party by that time. If Romney gets the pick, that could maybe mean that Trump isn't as petty and childish as people think, and may be ready to let go of his divisive persona for the greater good. And so everyone's hopes are on Mitt Romney, which is scary in itself. Trump has also been setting the media straight. He summoned various bigwigs to an off-the-record meeting at Trump Tower, where as per some anecdotes, people arrived thinking that they may be offered positions in his staff, but instead he yelled at them for their coverage of him during the elections. You'd at least think that after giving the Trump campaign an estimated over $1 billion in free coverage, there would at least be sandwiches. He did then do an interview with the New York Times, which somehow lives in a bubble where it alone is the fourth estate, but that interview seems to be behind a paywall. So well done to those guys. However, what interests us here is a 2.5-minute video that Trump posted where he talks about his policy plan for the first 100 days. His core principle is putting America first. He wants the next level of production and innovation to be on American soil. On trade, he's going to withdraw from the TPP and instead negotiate bilateral deals. On energy, he'll cancel job-killing restrictions on fossil fuels, including shale and something called clean coal, so bye-bye climate change. In terms of ease of doing business, there's a weird one. For every new regulation, 2 old regulations will be cancelled. In defense, he'll organize the defense establishment to develop a plan to protect the US from cyber and other threats. On visa reform, he'll get the Labor Department to find and plug visa program abuses. On ethics, he'll ban the concept of executive officials turning lobbyists. So goodbye friendship, hello American supremacy. And with that, we're at the end of this episode. We'll be back with more later. I'm Ankit Prasad, and this has been The Daily Grind.